No Jumper, coolest podcast in the world. And today we got a Texas icon, a legend in the building, Twisted Black. How you feeling?
Man, great, man. Pleasure to feel good to be here. I want to take that suit back to Texas.
Oh, yeah. I got you, man. I'll send you one.
Yeah, I need that.
Oh, yeah. It's raining Nike Techs out here.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, everywhere you look. Yeah.
It can't be no knockoff, though. I can't be rocking a knockoff one.
Well, I just asked ChatGPT what the weather's like in Texas right now, and it said 92.
Oh, yeah.
So
it's light.
I am rocking this for sure.
Yeah, that's light. Yeah, this weather out here. This weather right here make you change your car.
Nah, facts.
Nah,
yeah.
for real.
Okay. Wait. How long you been free for?
It'll be 2 years, July the 13th.
Okay, for sure. And we're gonna get into the whole story, but how's life back on the outside? You feeling good?
Yeah, man. Just taking my time, getting back, acclimated to everything, and learning how to deal with so much change. Learn how to deal with everything that done changed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
One step at a time.
No, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
I look forward to hearing more about that. But okay, so for the people who don't know, where exactly did you grow up, and tell me a little bit about your upbringing?
Fort Worth, Texas. I was originally born in Detroit, right? But Fort Worth represented for sure. So Fort Worth, Texas, that's my home.
Okay, and you grew up with both parents, or?
Till I was 11.
Okay.
My dad passed when I was 11, but me and my mom left it when I was 2. So I had both of them, but not in a 2-parent household or nothing like that. I wish.
Was your dad, was he wrapped up in the streets, or what was he getting into?
Definitely. Yeah, he was a gangster out of Detroit.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
And you and him and your mom just couldn't get along at a certain point?
I think my mother, when I came along, she kind of, she wanted something different for me, and he was still heavy into what he was heavy into. And so she tried to get me away from it, taking me to Texas, so. But I don't know if it worked or not.
Were you surrounded by a lot of bad influences in the neighborhood and everything? Or
in Texas or Detroit?
In Texas, because you left Detroit at
when I was 2 years old,
yeah.
but I went back every year
okay.
until he died 11. My family, I got roots there.
Okay, but you're kind of seeing like these two alternate realities, different ways of life.
Definitely. I call it bi-coastal.
Right.
Yeah, see, because, Detroit was always faster than Texas. You see what I'm saying? But then when Texas caught up, it was like warp speed. So I'm not going to sit here and get one of those stories like, man, it was so bad. And I chose what was comfortable. So when we got to Texas, I found where it was rough at, which was like at my auntie's house on the south side. So that's where I went.
And do you think you got that influence from just being around your pops and just seeing him sort of have this fast-paced lifestyle that you were drawn to that?
1,000%. And then as you get older, you realize that when they say a product of your environment, man, where you grow up is what you're going to be comfortable with. If you grow up in jail, you're going to be comfortable with jail. That's just what it is.
Definitely. Okay, so you start spending time at your aunt's house. What was going on over there?
I mean, that's who told us about Texas. So my mother came down here because like I said, my old man, he was doing what he was doing. So we came down to Texas and stayed with my aunt in the beginning on Riverside. So you got to come down there so I can show you. You get the visual of this thing, man. Don't be scared.
Definitely. No, I got to tap in. But okay, but what was going on over there? Is that where you really started to kind of get into whatever was going on in terms of illicit behavior and whatnot?
No, hell no. I was a good kid.
Okay.
Yeah, hell no. I was a good kid all the way up to like the 6th when my daddy passed.
That kind of changed things for you?
Yeah, it did. And I really didn't know. But when you look back, as you get older and you look back on it, then I'm like, damn, that's when I started getting up, I mean, when my daddy passed, smoking weed and getting in trouble in school, just typical young guy coming up without his daddy.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay. And so when did you first, get into trouble being in that environment and everything? Did you have to deal with the consequences while you were still young?
I don't know. How do you know I got in trouble?
Well, it just sounds like, the 17 years in prison thing kind of seems like you might have got in trouble at some point.
Yeah, I did. But I just started going, I'm not really I got to start getting in trouble. Middle school, just like typical bad kid or misguided kid type shit. But yeah, what happened with me spending so much time in prison was, I was older then. I was way on up the line. But yeah, I've been to prison a few times.
Right.
You know, state prison. That was my first Fed bid.
If I had asked you when you were young, 16 or whatever, if I had asked you what you were trying to do with your life or what you thought life was going to be about for you, what would you have said?
At 16?
Yeah.
I would have said, at 16, I had 3 goals. I wanted a record deal. I wanted to be, I know this don't make sense. I wanted to be a drug dealer like my father, and I wanted a college diploma for my mother.
That's a tall order right there.
I did all of them though.
You did?
I did.
Okay, yeah.
I did all of them. So
Right. All
it
right.
just didn't happen but those were my 3 goals growing up. Like real talk, no cap.
So the rapping was a goal from very early on.
It just was like, I think my mother, like me being the only child, she was like, man, you got talent, you could do this, and then I'm like, well, you know what, I like it. I love music. Music is something I do for free. You know what I'm saying? That's how you know what your passion is, in my opinion.
Right. What were you what were your influences that you were listening to as a young guy?
Rap wise or just music?
Rap wise, but I guess music as well.
Man, shit, like Michael Jackson, Prince, you know what I'm saying? All you didn't have too many rappers to choose from then, so know Sugar Hill, Curtis Blow, Run DMC.
Right.
I've been in the game a minute.
But were you seeing people make, rap that was captivated in the city even from a young age in Texas, or did it take a while before Texas started to catch up?
Yeah, it took a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you familiar with Ghetto Boys, right?
Of course.
Those were the first ones that really
I'm linking with Willie D soon, yeah.
I met good people.
Yeah.
So they were really, for me, the first people that really transcended the coast, because I'd be in Detroit on the porch going for the summer and hear people coming down the street playing mind playing tricks on me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, damn, they big time.
Right.
So yeah, probably though.
Okay, definitely. Okay, so you graduate high school?
I did not. I was locked up by 16.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Boys home.
What was that
Shit
case
like that.
about?
It was like a theft case or something, like 15, 16.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And then got GED and then went on to college and, I got shot in 91 right here.
Yeah.
And so that kind of derailed a lot of shit, but I was in the street getting bricks going to community college.
Wow.
All at the same time. I didn't take rap seriously for real until I got shot like 91.
Okay, so I'm just trying to figure out the order of operations. So all throughout high school and everything, you're just in the streets. But what would you say your primary thing was? Was it doing robberies, or were you really trying to work your way up the ladder in terms of the drug game?
More of I was just at that time, because crack hadn't hit. At that time, probably just selling a little weed, fighting at parties, dancing, trying to rap, the same shit regular kids did, you know what I mean?
Did the world just seem so much more innocent when you look back
Absolutely.
at that time period?
And you know what, though? The reason why I try to make sure that I answer those questions transparently is because so many people try to make it like they was, and some have. But me, I'm not gonna be like, man, it was so bad, I had to do this and I had to do. Nah, I chose to do this and I chose to do that.
Right.
I was just a regular teenager, fighting and dressing and, listening to the music, all that shit.
It's just so crazy to picture a time period in which becoming, a person selling serious drugs was not on the table, that like nobody had done this yet at this point because it just didn't exist. Because like I feel like that's kind of the backup plan in a lot of people's heads at a certain point is like, shit, well, I guess if it comes down to it, I could just drive some bricks across the country or some shit like that. Like,
yeah,
I mean, not that it's a good idea, kids, right, but it's just kind of weird to think about how the world was when that wasn't an option and how much that changed everything because so many young people were able to make a lot of money off it.
And then when you look back and you see the contrast between when you were young and then crack.
Right.
Crack came and just slither bombed everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because you have the whole population that is relatively well off mentally. There's not anything that's really up mentally that bad besides alcohol, and then this shit comes out and it's just some percentage of people are just tweaked out losing their minds.
Well, nothing that was talked about because cocaine been was up forever.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
Right. Well, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, they
but
just
was that popular?
Well, hell yeah, it was popular. But just to be honest, it was white drug. You had to have the money.
So in the hood, though, this wasn't really a thing.
I mean, a little bit, but not shit. We ain't had no money, and wasn't nobody white.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So this was a white thing that was really motherfuckers up, but you didn't hear about it till they started basing.
How old were you when you first started hearing about it?
I mean, I can't tell you that. You know how old I am then, Adam. But no, let's say about maybe 85.
Okay. And you were born in what year?
Oh, man, please.
I'm sorry. I don't
stop
want to do
it. Knock it off.
Keep it a little vague.
Man,
here.
stop it. I was yesterday.
You were in high school
somewhere
when it started to pop off. Okay.
Yeah. Hell yeah. But
got it.
Mm-hmm. But when it happened, you could see it. Like this shit, like, okay. Because in the beginning, you got to keep in mind, everybody was getting money.
Right.
Motherfuckers really wasn't going to jail.
And it takes a while before you really start seeing how bad this drug is.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
But once you do, because I was 15, 16, experimenting with different things, you know what I mean? But you just don't know until you get further up down the line. God damn, I could have been a dope fiend.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And no offense to the dope fiend. I hope you get cool, but it could have happened.
No, I mean,
because I was raised around the junkies and and I had hustle, so motherfuckers wanted to be around me, and before you know it, I'm experimenting with different drugs, and shit, I'm no saint.
So how'd you actually jump into the drug game, like in terms of making money from it?
Man, one of my RIP, one of my good friends, Wayne. When I got out of boys' home, I had been out for 33 days, working at 7-Eleven, right, trying to do the right thing, please mom, shit like that. But he was heavy in the game, so he brings me. He brings me to the some apartments called a Village. And when I get to the Village, he sit me down literally and give me a worker and give me like an ounce of crack. And when that happens, he let that worker bring the money back from selling it, and I was hooked. But he used me though because he knew I was a shooter. And so he needed me in the game with him. So that's where I got turned out on it.
But how common were guns at that point?
It depends on who you're talking about. Like for me, because I was coming from Detroit, real common. Because Detroit was faster than Texas. So my guys were still knuckling up and all of that. But, I've been raised around my father. So we could fight. We would fight, but I was about busting that iron.
You ever see your dad shoot somebody?
Not that I can recall.
Man.
Not that I can recall.
That's wild. Yeah. But so at some point, around what age would you say that you really started to just have that shit on you all the time?
Damn. I can't say all the time. I was a young boy. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
It's cool, right? We talk about whatever. What I say on this show doesn't have to do with the feds, right?
Well, we are in no way cooperating or involved with the federal government.
Okay. So I'm always cautious about what I say anyway. But, anything I've done my time for.
Yeah, for sure. Anything that has no statute of limitations, I would say you probably shouldn't talk about.
Yeah,
but
I definitely wouldn't.
In a very general sense, you could talk about that kind of thing.
Yeah, but but you say have it on you all the time. Like I never had it on me all the time, but
right. But we all know
I sold drugs as a kid.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So and when however long you keep them on you when you're a kid, that's how long I had them.
What was the decision point the first time that you had to use it? Was that a big moment in terms of you becoming a man or something? Did you realize?
You talking about the pistol?
Yeah. Like, did you realize anything about yourself the first time that you had to actually let it go?
Yeah, I've never really. I never said I let it go, Adam.
Okay.
Yeah, I did. So
the 17 years in prison wasn't necessarily because of one of those things.
It was for drugs.
Okay, got it.
Yeah,
so you may have not ever let it go.
Yeah, probably not. You probably more than likely no.
Right.
But a lot of things you can find out. When you deal with certain people in the street, then sometimes you don't have to. So. Yeah, I was mainly on getting money, man. I was trying to get some money the wrong way, and
right,
and that shit caught up to me.
And so how deep into the drug game did you get before you ended up getting caught up and getting this Fed case? And did you have any like arrests leading up to that, or was it?
No. Yeah, I had plenty of arrests.
But for little shit, not like drug trafficking and
attempted murders. I got a few attempted murders. I got, I was never really a thief or nothing like that, but no drug. I never had a drug case in my life, never been looked at for drugs or nothing like that. You know, a couple of assaults, bunch of pistols. You know, it's the same thing that they're going to look up and go down and see all that shit.
But the attempted murder situations, those, you were able to make those go away relatively easily? You beat those? Or you ended up doing some time for them?
Never did time for them, no.
Really?
I beat them. And that's one of the reasons why they ended up giving me so much time. You know, the judge made it his business to let me know that he felt like I had gotten away with too much. And, you know, because back then, you know, if you had some money, then you didn't really have to do much time.
Still helps a lot, yeah.
Yeah, until you deal with the feds. You deal with the feds. I don't care what you got. Yeah. I mean, unless it's something real astronomical that I'm not hip to, you know, because I had money when I went to the Fed, you know, and you got a whole bunch of motherfuckers with money that's in the feds and can't buy it. Look at Puffy. Yeah. Can't buy his way out.
But I know plenty of dudes who, when they tell me about the reason why they did 10 years, 20 years in prison, it's kind of like, if I knew everything that I know now, I wouldn't have done those 20 years because I would have been able to get a real good lawyer and fight the charges and not say anything and make it go away eventually. You know, like a lot of people feel like the system is heavily weighted in favor of people who got money to ball out on an expensive ass lawyer.
Well, definitely that. But I do believe it's a glass ceiling to that too. Yeah, you did, because it's going to be that how did you say, affluence?
The affluent.
Yeah, definitely. So because I don't, you know, ain't too many people got more money than Puffy. I would think, you know, I don't know his bankroll, but
he's got the best chance of beating that right now because of the lawyers that he's got, but it still might not be enough. You know?
Yeah, it's probably not. Yeah. It's probably, you know, I wish the best for him, and, you know, whatever happens, happens. But, you know, shit, the feds is just a whole nother animal, bro.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely. So, okay, like, what was that day like when you actually got wrapped up in this Fed case?
Because I had been out the game for 13 months.
Really?
I had been done, and it was just music, and, you know, my career was on the rise. You know, I had like 9 different deals on the table. You know, and
but how much was your re-up at the peak of what you were doing in the streets?
I had a what you might call a where you want it plug.
Okay.
Yeah, how many you want and where you want it.
So you're working directly with the plug, and you're going out there and doing business, but you're kind of like, somebody gives you the money for a break, you go get the break, you bring it back, and you know what your cut is.
Absolutely not.
No. This is how I imagine it works, but you tell me.
Yeah, no. It may have been hypothetically, I need 20. And where do you want it? I need them here, or I need them there. And then when I get rid of the 20 or 10 or 50, whatever it is, then it's over with.
Okay.
I pay the money. You know what I'm saying? Or if I had to pay it, I pay it. You know what I mean? It's vague, man. It's a long time ago, Adam.
Right.
Yeah. I just hate the fact that I had finally got to the point to where I knew better. You know, I'm like, selling drugs is not going to get me to where I want to be.
Right.
And then so the moment I quit, a year later, I get nabbed on some humbug shit. You know what I mean? So if you look my case up, it was just like a brick and some change.
Really?
You know, I'm like, what the?
So you left basically because you felt like you needed to focus on the rap, and you realized that this just doesn't have a long life.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I lost so many good friends. And so, whether it was to prison or to jail, and I don't know, I just had an epiphany, you know what I mean? Then my music career was taking off, because that's all I really wanted to do, you know what I mean? I had already, to me, when it came down to selling dope, I had already did enough, you know?
Right.
That was cool.
Definitely. So when they caught you with a brick, though, was that?
They never caught me with nothing.
Oh.
Yeah, that's just ghost dope.
Okay.
Yeah, they ain't catch me with a coin, not a crumb. And I have never in my life been caught with drugs.
Okay.
Never.
But what, they somehow knew about a conspiracy that was going on?
They said conspiracy because it was another guy that I was signing to my label. He was still in the game, see?
Right.
And so when he get nabbed up in a sting, they said I was his supplier because they knew of our affiliation. And so 6 or 7 different people testified against me out of Midland, Texas, and made up, story. And that's the thing, when the feds want you, man, they will allow people to just say shit. So my heart goes out to a lot of people that get caught up in public opinion when it comes down to these Fed cases, because let's go back to Puffy, right? A lot of people will say, man, Puffy did this and Puffy did that and Puffy did that. You don't know Puffy. You don't know what Puffy, you wasn't there. But you believe what the people on that stand saying, right? That's the public opinion part of it. And the feds will allow that. It don't even really have to be a nexus, right? You probably know all of this. It don't really.
A little bit.
Well, yeah, of course. Yeah, mate, I don't like that look.
Well, I don't really have any involvement with the feds. I never talked to the feds or anything, but I watch these cases play out on social media.
Then then once your ass once you hooked in and that's what you're doing, then it could be a lady that sold drugs all her life, and all she was good at was selling dope and getting caught, and she could testify on me, and it's good.
So if 6 or 7 people testify on you out of the conspiracy, that must have been like most of the people who were involved in it, right?
They wasn't even involved in it. It was just me and my bodyguard.
Oh.
Yeah, me and my co-defendant, my partner, Big Baby, right? It was just me and him. And so on our conspiracy, it's what they did was they added these people. They kept superseding the indictment, right? It started with just him and I. Then they kept superseding it. Add different people. And I don't even know these people. Like literally. And I know you probably like, yeah, right, motherfucker. But I don't have no reason to lie. I already did my time. I never told on nobody. I did what I was supposed to do.
Right. I mean? Well, I've heard that a lot. Even like in Young Thug's, that wasn't the feds, that was a state case. But like allegedly he didn't know a lot of the people that they were claiming were YSL gang members. But I've seen that myself. Like, it's not like the leader of the Crips out here knows every Crip. Hell no.
It's true. But the cold part about that is they're like buddy back there behind the computer. If he looking for a time cut and they looking for somebody to slam dunk you, what they do is put so much weight on your ass till you can't hold it, right? When I say weight, I don't mean like dope weight. I mean like literal weight. Put so much weight on the wagon it break. So if he say, yeah, I remember one time we was in the, he came by, I was just peeking out the closet. He had 10 bricks. That 10 bricks is now going in because of his statement. Now, unless they could just really, if my lawyer come through and cross and find that, man, he was in Utah at the time. How the f is he in the closet? To where they can make it, inadmissible to some degree. Then it'll go, then you can get rid of that witness or whatever. But if you go on a trial like I did, the jury still hear it. That's just like my district, my DA, right? The United States Attorney that was prosecuting me says, well, Your Honor, we like to bring in some of his lyrics, Twisted Black's lyrics. And so the judge was like, nah, we're not going to do this. This was the first time this shit had ever been heard. Like, no, we're not going to do that. And then the U.S. attorney stood up and said, but Your Honor, he says I'm going to cook my way to the top. All I need is a Pyrex pot. And so the judge like, you didn't hear that. Jury strike that. I'm like, how the f they didn't hear that, man? They right here. How you gonna just tell somebody they didn't? And so now these the same people that you got to keep going on in this trial, and you're gonna get found guilty.
Right.
And so they batted my ass out the park.
Damn. So going through all this, like, how big would you say you had gotten as a rapper while all this was taking place? And was it this big viral thing locally? Like everybody knows about it in Texas and shit?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. I ain't too many people that. And put it like this, I was probably the most sought after artist of 2005.
Okay.
Coming from the South. From
That's the year that this happened?
Yeah, 2006.
Got it,
2006. Okay. My bad, 2006. Yeah.
Got it.
So 5 and 6, I was on a come up.
But you hadn't signed. Were you like doing the meetings with labels and everything?
Absolutely. I had at the time I got indicted, I had literally 9 deals on the table.
Right.
And I ended up signing with TVT. So I was over there with Yo Gotti, 9 Inch Nails, what's his name? Yeah, what's it? I forget.
Lil Jon.
Lil Jon, Yin Yang Twins,
Yeah.
Pitbull.
Good era. 2005. I like that. Yeah.
But TBT was a real cool label back then. So I ended up signing with them.
Okay.
Right at the time.
While you were dealing with the case,
yeah,
or before?
I signed my deal from prison.
Wow.
Yeah, see, but we didn't have the internet then. See, we had the internet. Like I have a huge following right now.
Wait, but you're saying they didn't know that you were locked up at that moment?
Nah, I played it off for like about 3 to 4 weeks.
Oh, that's
but
a good
guess
move
what
right
though?
there.
Shout out to James Eichelberg, who was my A&R over there. One day I was talking, I'm on the jail phone. He got all the noise in the background and shit. He was like, "Hey man, Black, the streets talking." I'm like, "Man, what they saying?" He said, "Man, they say you locked up." And I ain't want to lie to him because he had been playing straight with me. So I was like, "Yeah, I am." Because the whole time I had been telling him I was at the boxing gym. And so, he was like, "Man, we still going to try to push it through." And he pushed the deal through. And they rolled with me all the way up to like 2008.
Okay. But they still wanted to sign you because they believed in the value of the catalog of everything you had already recorded?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And not only that is, I sold them on the fact, like, man, I really didn't do it. Like, I really don't know these people. I'm going to trial. I got, asshole full of money right now. And, this is all going to be good. It's going to, you know what I mean? And I was that, all glory to God, I was that talented.
Right.
They gambled on me.
Damn. So, okay. You really thought that you could beat it?
Hell yeah. I didn't know them. I ain't know nothing about the feds and how they play. In fact, I didn't have a clue that I would lose.
Really? So you're saying you were in the dope game, but you just weren't doing the specific things or working with the specific people that they were accusing you of working with?
I wasn't even in the dope game no more.
Okay.
Like literally.
Right.
Like I had already, me and my some of my closest partners, I had a graduation party, man, 13 months before that. Like, man, you made it, and we ain't never seen this happen type shit, because I'm on to the music shit. So, man, people had me that, man, I ain't think I could lose. Like, man, I don't know these people, little country motherfuckers out here, Because this was, they was talking about, they ended up giving me a crack case, so I got like it was like a brick and some change of crack. I'm like, man, I ain't seen crack since Dre was with Cube them, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, so I knew I could beat it. But man, again, the feds play different.
So you get there in the courtroom, and at what point do you realize, oh, I'm actually not going to beat this?
When they sentenced me.
Oh, so all the way up till that, you thought that you were doing all right?
Oh, hell yeah.
Really?
Everybody in the courtroom did.
Really?
Man, you had people breaking down, crying on the stand, because they got caught in lies. We had transcribed shit of some of the witnesses saying they didn't actually know me, but they was going to work the system. Yeah, one say he did it because he thought I f***ed this broad.
Wow.
Yeah, true story.
Wow.
Man, this is the truth.
Damn.
Yeah, man. So I never thought I was going to lose.
But so it was a jury trial or it was a judge?
Jury trial.
Okay.
Yeah. I boxed it up.
Why do you think that you actually ended up losing, though, even though you were so confident?
Because the fight is already fixed. The fight is fixed. When and I don't want to discourage nobody else, but when you go to trial with the Fed, the chances of you losing is probably you lost already.
Yeah.
True story.
I say like what, 98% or something?
99. And that just depends on when you check.
Right.
For us, it's probably a hundred. You know what I'm saying? So I do know one guy that beat the Feds, and they wanted me to tell on him so bad. I didn't even know him.
So those options were on the table from very early on. We want you to tell on this person and this person.
Oh, man, the Feds.
Right.
Right?
So they start leaning on you with that right away. And are they asking you to tell on people that you barely even know or have anything to do with?
Like that one guy that beat them, his name was Danny Ray or something. Like, shout out to Danny Ray. I don't know him. They don't care, though. You did what I'm saying, what they want, but they're not gonna lean on you, champ. So all the motherfuckers that be saying, that they'll lean on you. Nah, I've seen them play some dirty games. Yeah, I've seen them. They'll go after your wife, your mom. I've seen them do that, stuff like that, and but they don't really lean on you. They just put it on the table because what happens, what's on the other side of that cooperating is a different Fahrenheit. So this is hotter than oven heat.
But so they won't pressure you too much to cooperate because they kind of know that you got to fully want to make this decision because it's going to change your life so much?
Well, I can't say what they do with everybody else, but because and now that you say that, because Angela Hudson was like the main star witness in my case, right? And when you read her transcript, they did low key pressure her, you know, and the way that they pressure her was, again, what's on the other side of the table. They're like, well, you're not going to get a time cut if you don't tell. So what's going on with Twisted Black? But I thought you said you want to go home. I thought you said you want to get back to your kids. That the only way is so tell us what's going on with Twisted Black. Because she had already said twice, and it's in black and white, that I only know him from music, doing music with Zed. Well, she already told you, mother, that she don't know me except through him with music, but you keep coming back saying basically you're not going to get a time cut unless you tell me about Twisted Black. So yeah, I guess, you know, I guess I'll clarify that they will probably pressure some people. But for the most ones that I've seen, they put it on the table. And then when they offer you 15, 20, 25, a life sentence, then that right there, that's the pressure. You see what I'm saying? They tell you never going home.
But for you, there was just no chance that you were going to cooperate?
Oh, listen, the thing for me, and I'm not going to act like I'm like some super gangster, and I'll say what the rest of them won't say. I was raised like that. Like my father and my mother raised me like that. My mother was a pastor. Well, she was evangelist at the time. And so what happened is you know, during the court proceedings, you know, I go back to this one room, and so whatever proffer or whatever they're gonna try to offer, my mother was so hands-on that once they tell my lawyer would tell my mother. And so she answered the question for me. She was like, no, he wasn't raised like that. Because we had a running joke, like when they came back, they was like, what's going on? He's like, oh, they offered you this, you know, to tell on Danny Ray or whoopty this, that, and the third. And your mom already told me you're not going to do it. And I looked at her like, really, Ma? She's like, boy, you better stop playing with me. You know, that's a true story. So,
wow.
So yeah, man, it was, and I'm not saying, and let me say this too. If you sell drugs today, in this in the climate that we're in right now, and you're not going to tell, then you're the dummy.
Really?
You what? You the dummy.
Because everybody's just telling?
Everybody gonna tell.
Really?
They're gonna Charleston White your ass.
Really?
They're off the muscle. Yes. So that's why I stay away from all of that shit. Because I don't want to be the dummy.
But what's the difference right now in the dope game as opposed to back then? Just the fact that it's so much easier for them to make cases? Is it the fact that snitching is so much more normalized?
Is the thing is what you just said, the latter, right? I would guess, because I'm no longer a part of that, right? So it's no work for the police to do. Whoever gets caught is gonna tell on the next, most of the time. And I'm not saying everybody that sells dope is a rat either. I'm not gonna say that, because maybe there are some people that still cut from that cloth, and I'm sure they are, because, you know, I got partners that's solid, like my co-defendant, Big Baby. He could have told on me, and I would have never came home. You see what I'm saying? He could have just basically corroborated their story, and I never come home. My pills and everything get shut down. Then there's TCAG, you know, TCAG stood up, you know. Then you got other people that, you know, that I don't know, that stand up and take their lick. But it's so many that don't, that, you know, I don't even know how they do it, bro.
Right. I mean, when you watch like old documentaries about crime and stuff, and you see somebody in the 70s and they kill somebody, and then they're just like, how the fuck are the cops going to solve this? I mean, I know they solved some murders, but it's just like when you watch that, you're like, holy, like it was unbelievably easy to get away with this shit, as opposed to today, where the first, like most of the people that I know who've been caught for murders, it's like technological means that they use to catch them. When you watch FBG Duck's killers get caught, and they've got 150 different camera angles from the highway that show the car driving to the scene of the crime, it's like, you know, those guys probably would have walked away if it wasn't for the amazing amounts of surveillance that they have available.
But it exists, bro.
Yeah.
So you can't act like it. Who's mad about people telling?
Who's mad about it? I guess, like, you know, gangsters in general, people who really believe in the street code.
So what do they do?
What do? They go on Clubhouse and complain about it, I guess.
That's what I'm saying. So if it's no consequences, right?
I mean, people get killed for ratting, right? I mean,
When?
I don't know.
Where?
I don't hear about it that much.
I'm not saying it don't exist, but it just don't exist enough for us to know, right? We can't think of nothing right off the break. So, and then what I've learned, man, dealing with people in close situations, that you never know what one man may have to do to save his life, and if that's what he had to do to save his life, then that's on him. You see what I'm saying? Like, it has no bearing on me.
Right.
Yeah, so, because look me up, bop.gov, or ask somebody. I did my time, and thank you, Lord, I came out of here pretty sane.
Yeah.
I'm burned up, but, I made it.
Right. I mean, people are anti-snitching, but people do not seem very willing to go catch a murder case in order to kill a snitch. That doesn't really happen anywhere near as much as
See
it
what I'm
probably
saying?
used to.
So all you're going to do is get a bunch of bad, seems to me, you're going to get a bunch of bad press. Motherfuckers going to say shit behind your back, or say shit on the podcast or whatever, or flash your paperwork. Then what?
Because, the thing is that very rarely does somebody get accused of snitching and it's so black and white that they just have to say, yeah, I'm a snitch. It's always like, no, here's my version of the story. Like, we're used to that as a society now, where it's like half the country believes that the election was stolen and the other half believes that the election was fair. And it's like these people just both live in these alternate realities, the same way that I've seen people sit on the podcast and they've got paperwork that makes it clear as day that they cooperate in some way, and they just will sit there and just talk and talk and talk to the point where the average person just stops listening and is just like, whatever, I don't care that much,
Right. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, it's just to each his own, and that I wouldn't want to have to deal with that myself, being in the drug game right now.
Yeah, same.
It's a lot.
I would hate to have to make the decision of this person that I love, that I with, that I've been friends with for all these years, that my options are do 20 years in prison or do less time, but have to put 20 years in prison on this guy. Like, I don't want to have to make that decision. So I don't think selling drugs is for me.
See?
Also, if somebody robs me, I don't want to have to go kill somebody. And I feel like if you're going to get in the drug game, you pretty much have to take that on. You have to say, if somebody's going to rob me, I'm going to take it into my own hands.
Right.
I don't think I'm cut out for that kind of decision.
See, but you know what? And that's you. In other words, you say, I know my lane.
Yeah.
See, and that's what got the streets so saturated right now, is you got a bunch of weenies, right? They say, I'm going to get out here in the street. I want to sag my pants. I want these skinny jeans. I want this fucking Louis or this Gucci with all this money. But really, deep down, you're really a weenie. And so when that pressure hit and that Fahrenheit hit your ass, you do what what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
When they burn all the impurities off, it's gonna be Oscar Mayer right there. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, I mean, I think about that all the time when I see young kids getting murder cases and whatever else, and I'm like, I wonder how much time they spent thinking about what doing 20 years in prison was going to be like.
Man, I'm going to tell you a feeling. I got sentenced to 90 years, bro. 90. 3 30-year sentences.
It's like a long, drawn-out death sentence. You're going to die here, but we're going to just let you hang out for a while first.
And then the cold part about it is the feds, they read it off in months, right? So I'm thinking that I can't get no more than 12 to 15 years, right? So when they start he say, well, on the first count, 360, second count, 360, third count, 360 months. I'm like, who the is he sentencing? I'm thinking to myself. So if you listen to my music, you can hear it. Like I break shit down for you in such a way, if anybody is, has listened, to where you don't want to do that. I mean, because then they consolidated them and ran them concurrent for 130, but you talk 30 years, man. Yeah. And you got to do 25 of that bitch. That's with no time cuts, no shit. That.
Damn.
So when you listen to some of my songs, like my new album, Storytime, when I go through or Life is Outside, you go do this type of motherfucking time, you can actually listen to each song and know how I was feeling at the time. Because I put out 5 albums from prison.
Right.
Just to take with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So who wants to go through that?
No, definitely. So what was that? How long did trial take, and what was that day like when you actually heard that sentence?
Man, listen, I'm going to tell you what the judge said. The judge said, because Thanksgiving was coming up, right? The judge said, I want to try to be through with it. This was like a week before Thanksgiving, 3-4 days, matter of fact. I want to try to be through with this before Thanksgiving because I want to eat turkey. This is when I knew I was in trouble. This judge, right at the beginning of court, he said, well, I understand that you're in the music business, Mr. Burns. I'm like, yes, sir. He said, well, I'm afraid I never heard of you because out here in Midland, Texas, we only know 2 types of music. And so I'm sitting here like waiting for this. Like he said, that's country and Western. And everybody busts out laughing. I'm like, oh, I'm finna die in this mother.
That's a good joke, although I'm sure you were not really in the
not right now
to hear that right now.
Man, hey, me and my mother locked eyes. I'm like, yeah, I knew right then it was good. But so to answer your question, man, the trial lasted about a week, man. And they found me guilty on my mom's birthday. Oh, November 22nd. Wow. 2006. 6. Damn. On my mom's birthday.
And your mom was there?
Yes.
No, my mother. She spent her birthday finding out that about her son.
Right then. Yeah, it's crazy, man. So
what was going on in your mind when you heard that sentence?
I got numb, like literally, like, you know how when your feet go to sleep?
Yeah.
You know, or you sit on the toilet too long because you're on your phone and shit, and then your legs start going to sleep. Guilty.
We all been there.
Yeah, literally, but that went through my whole body, you know, and so, but I was trying to, you know, stay as coherent as possible. And when he read each one, I was woke enough to like nudge my lawyer, like, hey, hey, motherfucker, okay, get him to consolidate it. And then so my lawyer, he snaps because he tripping too, like, God damn, you know. So he tripping, so he gets it, you know, ran concurrent, right, you know, pretty much on the spot. That he put the paperwork, you know, whatever he had to do for that, because I knew right then it was just like, I got to fight. You know, like I know I got appeals coming because guys that were back there, I guess they kind of knew, like, man, he gonna lose, you know, because they knew the system. So they had already, hey, you got this appeal, you got your 2255, you got your 3581, you know, all that shit, you know, 18 or whatever. So I knew right then, bam, okay, I need to hire an appellant lawyer, and, you know, I don't know, I just think about all this shit in real time. It was kind of that.
Wow. So, I mean, then you just kind of have to settle into this new life in the jail, or I was Fed charges, so you get taken off to a federal prison?
Absolutely. Yeah, you definitely, man. Then the cold part about it, my situation is I was in Midland, Texas, and so I was considered a high-profile prisoner, right, because of the music and the deals and stuff like that. And so when they were walking me to court, they would put me in the middle, you know, not walking, but driving, driving with a car behind, a car in the front. And they had snipers in the front. They had snipers on top. They had the press and the media across. And so when I got sentenced, they sent me to an immigration jail, bro. At this time, it was, you had ODC and then you had Midland. So I was like the only English-speaking motherfucker in the jail.
Really?
What?
Wow.
Yeah, that shit was crazy.
So, I mean, how long were you at that spot though?
Seems like, man, 2-3 months till they, you know, get you set up to go to fucking prison. Then I started in Beaumont. That was my first prison. And then, so like you said, getting used to how that shit went down, because I thought it was just going to be some squabbling. Right. And I had already been in state prison, so I knew I wasn't ducking no fights.
But when did you start to realize, like, oh, there's crazy shit happening?
2 weeks later.
2 weeks later.
Within 2 weeks.
And what was the deal in there at the time?
Within 2 weeks, I seen about 2 or 3 people get stabbed.
Really?
And then I was like, why the because they stab, and then when it's two formidable guys, y'all, why ain't squabbling? And so I'm you know, when I started seeing that, I'm like, oh, they just not really fighting in federal prison like that. The motherfucker trying to put that iron on you. So I knew I was somewhere different.
Right. So was your mentality, I'm gonna try to stay out of all the politics or everything, or was your mentality like, all right, I guess I gotta get a knife and get ready for whatever?
Well, I got my knife the first day.
Oh, someone gave it to you? Or
Yeah. Shout out to ACAR. ACAR, soon as I got off the bus and they were giving me tennis shoes and dudes were giving me watches and And stamps is the currency. When we got to my cell, he pulled out the blick. He was like, "This for you." I'm like, "Nah, I don't want that. I'm good with these." Because I knew his uncle Stein. So, long story short, I'm like, "Nah, I don't want that. I'm good on that." But after those 2 weeks, I was like, "Hey, Akar, come down to my cell. Let me get one of those and supersize mine, will you?" Because I knew I didn't want to stab anybody. Because I knew, I wanted to fight to try to get out of here a little bit. You know what I mean? But I wanted that bitch to be so big that you don't even want to, you like, hold up. If I have to hit you with the mother, you know what I'm saying? But yes, I didn't really want to get with the politics, but I'm a survivor. And, I'm a street nigga, Adam.
Where are you guys keeping your knives?
Yeah. There you go with them fair questions.
Well, I mean... Listen, if it's under your mattress, nobody really cares. But we've heard some stories about where the knife might have to go.
You might have. Listen, man. Don't even worry about it, fellas. I am not finna give it up.
It stays in jail.
Yeah,
those stories stay in jail. It's like Vegas.
I mean, if I'm one of the ones with me is gonna stay in jail. Because the thing. This is how.
You were a Texas gentleman.
Yes, sir. I'm a Texas gentleman. Here's the deal. What happens is this is how they get hip to the hiding spots. Like this.
Really? Yeah.
See a motherfucker that's no longer going through it. Hey, man, I used to put my shit inside the brick. I had a hole in the wall. And now there's some super cop CO never thought of that. He starts checking the bricks and lo and behold, they still doing that. And so, no. We had all kind of spots.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. But was there... Like at that time in Texas, just given that this was such a long time ago, I'm just curious about what the dynamic was. Everything was already like fully broken down by race at that time. Was there like gang oriented stuff going on, or was it more just racial?
Oh,
shit
hell
back
yeah.
then?
I mean, yeah. What you mean back then? It's right now.
I know how it is kind of right now from just talking to so many people. I'm just wondering about back then.
Right. Yeah. 2006 I went in. So, but it's broken down in gangs, right?
Yeah.
And it's broken. The race thing is real. Yeah. Okay. Especially when I did time in Victorville. I had never seen anything like it. I came out here, did time like what? I just knew I was going to die. My first 5 years, I was suicidal anyway.
Really?
Yeah. I wanted to kill myself.
Just because life felt pointless?
Well, because I never thought I would make it. I knew I wasn't going to tell on nobody. You see what I'm saying? And I knew I wasn't going to comply with anything I didn't want to do. So, and I was just kind of stubborn. I'm like, I ain't finna let y'all make me do all this time. You know what I mean? So I felt like somebody was going to kill me, or if not, I was going to bang a little bit too much heroin and take myself out.
You were doing that while you were in there?
No, but it was prevalent.
But you figured that would be a good way to go.
Well, was my genius plan. The devil had a veil on my face and wasn't allowing me to see the end. Right. You see what I'm saying?
But you were sober in there?
Sometimes.
Mostly, or you dabbled?
I dabbled.
Okay.
Yeah, with drinking, smoking, and all that type shit.
Okay. Yeah. But you didn't get into the hardcore stuff?
Oh, no, that's not my thing.
But it is I know people who, when they were in there, they did heroin, and then they get out and they would never dream of doing heroin.
Oh, yeah. No, I never done heroin a day in my life. But I knew that if I bang enough of it, it's going to take me out of here. Yeah. And that was my genius plan at the time. I even talked it over with my cellie because he was going to have to deal with my body. And he the one really tricked me into waiting until my first appeal was over with.
Really? And how many years in is this
3
really going through your head? 3 years in?
Yeah, because my third year I won my first appeal.
Okay, but from the beginning of when you got in there,
was already, it was either I'm going to make y'all kill me. You know what I mean? Because I'm not going to do anything I don't want to do. You know what I mean? Because it's real political.
I mean, if you really wanted to die, like, because I've thought about it a little bit, and I can't imagine myself actually like being able to stick a strap in my mouth and pull the trigger. I just don't think I could do it. But if you're in that environment, like, a lot of people basically kill themselves by like suicide by cop, where they'll just like pull a gun on a cop, boom, the cop kills you.
And that's a good analogy. That's kind of what. That's exactly what it is.
The easiest way to die in there is you just got to go over the wrong person. They're gonna kill you.
You don't have to over them, or you could just, it could be, because in the feds it's political. It's a lot of politics, and you could choose not to play. Man, I ain't playing I don't care what you said, because I give you a prime example in Victorville. They had the Spanish guys got a hands-off policy, right? Unless you Tongo will give you a fade where you can squabble.
But the Mexicans are anti-fade.
You anti-fade, hands off. You know, it's because it's family, and so if you buck on that, then you know that could be it for you. You know what I mean? Or you know, there are those one-offs and situations to where it happens, and you find out who was in the wrong. Somebody gonna get punished. There ain't nobody got to die.
But when you got transferred to Victorville, did it feel like you were like all of a sudden just learning about California, but you're learning about it in the most fucked up environment possible?
Not really, man. I mean, kind of.
I'm sure there's people from other places and everything.
Well, I had visited like 4 or 5 times.
Oh,
okay. So, but you got to keep in mind, California prison has it has a stigma.
Yeah.
So, me coming from Beaumont, and at the time, I can't remember. I went to 9 different places. So, but when I got to Victorville, it was, you know, all I could think about is all the things that I had heard over the years. And when I saw how, you know, it's segregated everywhere, champ. But when you get to Victorville or to y'all California prison, it's super. I'm talking about, it could be a phone right here and line right here and the line right here. And this phone right here empty. I need to use the phone. You can't touch that phone. That's not a black phone. I mean, this shit here was different. When I came in, I had to zigzag all through that motherfucker because can't walk in this area. I walked straight up through, if I'm not mistaken, through the Sereno area, just trying to go right here. And so everybody but what happens is they give you a pass when you first get there because they know you don't know.
Right. Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So they're like, hey, bro. But I'm telling before they say hello, hey, champ, you can't go through that area. I'm like, shit, yeah, I just came from that door right through here. Like, no, that's their area, so you got to go around. Like, I was like, oh, shit. Yeah, I thought I was going to die in Victorville for sure.
Really? Of what? Just beef or?
Well, because it was like, at the time, it was like 200 blacks, right? And about 900 Mexicans.
Wow, that big a difference.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, true story. And so I thought that was going to pretty much be it. But when I say that the blacks that were there, from California, from Utah, or wherever they were from, were some cool guys. Man, they met, and I'm thinking, because I'm coming from Texas now, you know, and I'm not affiliated. I'm on Texas time. I thought it was going to, like, you know, I was going to run into it with my own people. Man, they showed me nothing but love. Really? And the Spanish guys, too.
Really?
Man, so once I was there, I like, I ain't going to die here. Really? You know what I'm saying? This, you know, because it was just all about respect.
So would you say, in general, you met a lot of pieces of shit and people that kind of lowered your belief in humanity, but that experience in particular, you just felt like it had a really good culture going there or whatever?
I didn't met worse people out here.
Really?
Yeah. Worse people. Listen, what type of son of a bitch would, no, really, I'm serious, take a platform, take a microphone or say a megaphone and talk about dead people? Or talk about your mom or your dad or your illness or, you know, I see more motherfuckers, cold-hearted people out here than I ever seen in prison, man. People cold out here. You can get in trouble and have a wreck and half your head hanging off before they'll offer you some assistance. They start filming you. That's cold as to me, man. And I'm still wrapping my head around that. Again, I'm going to take you right back to my music. Listen to it. Now express that shit because people don't even know they f***ed up the internet. To me, the internet exposed a lot of the so-called street niggas and empowered the weenies. I believe that.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things that, I mean, you could be a child and you could be scamming, hacking into people's bank accounts, etc. Whereas like the kind of crime that you come from, you know, you had to be a tough dude. You had to be ready for the bullshit. You know, now it's like, it's easy for people to hide behind their computer. You could have a hugely popular YouTube channel with millions of subscribers and nobody knows who you are. And every day you make videos calling people pussies and bitches and
absolutely
judging their life choices that you've never had to deal with. And,
right.
You know, there's a million people doing this kind of thing.
Adam, my biggest song since I've been home is called My Little Nigga, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was very curious about this song.
Okay. Oh, so you already know.
Yeah.
Okay, that's my biggest song since I've been home. Oh, no, maybe the Mo 3 song.
Okay.
You know, number wise, right? The one that I did about Mo 3 story. But my little nigga was about Hood Go Yayo, Ronnie,
yeah.
But it was a made up story. But because I tell stories, that's what I do. And needless to say, that song went viral, right? I threw in some Mexican, because these is all my partners. I was just naming Fort Worth people that rap. And this is when I knew the internet was everybody knows my story. Everybody know Black 8-30. Black was on top when he left. This he done did everything it is in the street to do. Because from here to California, from California to Texas, you can call and ask about him, whether it be in prison or in the street. And then when I made that song, I made it 5 weeks before Ronnie passed, right?
Really? Wow.
And everybody was like, oh, that motherfucker super hard. Man, you a genius. Man, you back on your story time shit. Yeah. The moment he died, man, it switched. This is when I knew the internet was tough. They started calling me a rat. Man, you a rat. You telling people. I'm like, a rat? Man, you could have called me anything in the whole world. I done went here and did 17 years and 2 months in the penitentiary. Nigga never told on nobody. And everybody knew it. And you had the audacity to type in your phone. He's a rat. That's when I knew. I said, they'll say anything.
And you also just have to accept that you can't do anything about it.
That's
the total opposite of prison, where anyone disrespects you, you got to overreact. And now you're on the internet, where if you even respond on your story saying, hey, you bitch ass, whatever, you saying this about me, you kind of look weird.
Yeah, well, yeah. See, because what you did is you took the bait.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And needless to say, I went for it. You know, I'm like, hey, but the only thing I'll say is, you know, if something like that pop up, hey, you should look me up. You know, same way that y'all look up everybody else. Same way you motherfuckers sit here and argue about who's worth what and who's really look me up. You know, but you don't want to look me up. You just want to call me a name.
Because it's like just such a crazy world, because it's like if you got famous in the 90s, you were just famous, and like how would you ever find out about anything negative that people had to say about you? You know, maybe somebody writes a letter to the source, right? But like how many letters do they print per month? Like 5 or some shit, like a couple. You know, it's like there's just in the 90s or the 80s or any time before that, nobody like had a voice. Whereas now it's like even when I first got into doing rap oriented content, I was super insecure about the fact that I'm white and I don't necessarily have the pedigree to be able to speak on rap and stuff. I knew my shit, but I also just had a lot of insecurity about it, because I felt like you should probably only have a channel about a thing if you're an expert in that thing. So it made me kind of like really overcompensate, because I really wanted to do a great job and I over prepared for every interview. And then now when I look at the internet, it's like everybody just has a channel where they talk about rap and they don't know shit and they're not from this environment at all. Like all that anxiety I had seems kind of foreign to me now when I look at these 20-year-old kids that start channels and they're talking about gangster shit and beef and all this, and no thought about the fact that they're an outsider in this world that they're talking about. Yeah.
Right. But I just to highlight you a little bit, I think that's what to me, you know, I watched your show for quite some time, right? That's what to me made you good.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know your pedigree or your background, but you just listen to you talk, listen to you articulate. I know he's not one of us, but I've seen people get irate. I've seen people then fight or whatever. Yeah. But I seen you maintain that same, just cool, calm. And I think that contrast is what made your show what it is.
Well, sometimes I hear people brag about not studying or preparing for interviews, which to me is so like almost offensive to the nature of what I think that this thing is supposed to be about. Because let's say I say, okay, I'm down to do the Twisted Black interview. I immediately have a pit in my stomach of anxiety, and it goes away by me doing my research. You know, as I learn about the person and I start to wrap my head around it, and I'm like, okay, I feel like I understand this guy. I know what I'm going to say to him. I know how this is going to go. Then I feel all right about it. But up until that moment, like it's draining my energy thinking about like, what am I going to ask this dude? I ain't looked into him. And and then I spend a half hour doing research and I'm like, okay, now I'm good. And then I spend a couple more hours and I'm like, all right, now I'm really good. But I feel like that's that's a crazy thing to.
Yeah, but no, that's real because that's your craft. See?
Yeah.
And you're really into your craft. And I'll tell you something on the flip side, I'll be transparent with you because I know how seasoned you are. I know. So that same anxiety that you may have felt prior to knowing whatever, by me not knowing what's coming next, I still feel it. The whole time, like this right here, you can't never relax with him. You see, so I'm just being honest, you know. But at the same time, though, what makes it easy for me, it has made it easy to, like, I don't have to dress up, I don't have to have on a jury kit or none of that, because I don't really have skeletons. Like I wear my shame like clothes. I've been up, I done made up decisions, did up shit,
right?
And it is what it. Listen to my music.
Okay, just as a side question, it's kind of like this new world that we live in where it feels like there are people who've been locked up for decades, whether it's Big Meech or Larry Hoover, which it's kind of funny saying their names back to back like that because I feel like Rick Ross. But
you said Rick Ross what?
Rick Ross had a song where he said, I feel like Big Meech, Larry Hoover. Right. But they both got hit with this in the last few months where they get released, or in Larry Hoover's case, seems like he might be released at some point in the next few years if the state takes pity on him. But right as these guys are getting out and preparing to accept their hero's welcome and everything, then the internet does their thing and they try to find a way to call them a snitch. Like that's kind of like a new thing that we're witnessing. It's so much easier for a random YouTuber to look up paperwork and everything like that. Like how do you feel seeing that? I mean, even you, like, getting accused randomly just because of the song, even though it doesn't make any sense because timeline wise this was out before you got shot and everything. I mean, what do you think, seeing how publicized all that shit has become? I
mean, that's the new world. Like, and that's the thing when it comes down to the street shit, right? And I used to tell people this from the beginning. I tell artists this: hey, man, if you gonna try to rap what you know, because if you don't, like, say for instance, you rap and you talking about how you knock out, I do this, I do that. You know, I sold all the bricks. From your neighborhood are never gonna or from where you from, they're never gonna let you take off. You're gonna poke holes in your balloon because we know you, motherfucker. Far few and in between, motherfuckers slip through the cracks. You see what I'm saying? So I said that to say that's what it is. So if that's what you did, you may as well go ahead and get in front of it. You know, if that's who you are, man, get in front of it. Be like, man, like a lot of dudes that sell drugs, Adam, they just get money niggas. They ain't really about busting that pistol, you know, say that. Because you get to popping off like you about busting that pistol. The one to bust the pistol, they try and look at you, or especially with the fighting shit.
But if you're just getting money, you got to act like you're down to bust your gun, even if you really ain't. You got to just hope that nobody really tries you, right?
Well, not for real. Not in real life. Because if you getting real money, if you ask motherfuckers that's getting money, ask the people out there to know. When you getting real money, the killers insulate you. Because when they say you feed the wolves, if you feed the wolves, then the wolves keep you from getting ate. You see what I'm saying? But the squares can't really tell you that because they ain't really did that. That's why you don't hear people up here telling you stuff like that on your show, because a lot of them just really be squares and they really be weenies. You see what I'm saying? They done got a little money, they popping the street shit, and oh man, but we know you a sucker for real. Yeah, so you know.
Definitely. To what do you credit being able to have left doing that much time in prison without having to, you know, really go through anything too traumatic? I mean, I don't know what the worst shit you went through, but like, you held it down, you made it through. To what do you credit that?
Right. First of all, because you don't know, I went through everything. I went through was traumatic. I lost my mother.
While you were in there?
Hell yeah.
That's terrible.
I'm only child. I lost my mother. I lost my wife. You know, relationships with my kids. I lost my career.
You mean you lost her as in she moved on?
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Either way, whether she moved on or passed on, she ain't mine no more. Right. You know what I'm saying? So,
how many years did that take?
Man, listen, and to credit her, she was a good woman. And it's just that I said about my last 3 or 4 years, no, maybe 5, my last 5 or 6 years, we knew, you know, just it's run its course.
But she was with you for almost a decade while you were locked up?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, she played a part.
You had kids with her or no?
Absolutely.
You did? Two?
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. But I did, man, I went through, so I lost pretty much everything, Adam. So to answer your question, what do I credit that to is Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior, because you see, I ain't no big guy, you know, and I ain't the toughest motherfucker in jail. I'm just solid. I'm just a man. And I'm a man 24 hours a day. I don't take a second off of being a man. And so one thing I'm going to tell you a secret now. If you ever happen to go to jail, I hope you don't. Maybe you get caught in a bar fight or something. Motherfucker think you sweet.
If I was going to get in trouble for a bar fight, I feel like it would have been a long time ago. I kind of left the bar part of my life behind. But
okay, good. Well, that's good.
A lot of good bar fight stories, though.
Here's the secret. And anybody that's listening, remember this. Most don't really want to fight. Right? See, because a fight is a 50-50 chance. Like, I might could whoop you, and you might could whoop me, and I really don't want to find out. Most just want to whoop somebody. And if you become that person they just can whoop, then your ass in trouble. You see what I'm saying? Because that means you ain't got no fight in you.
Right.
But when you are formidable, I don't give a be like, this little motherfucker right here gonna want to fight all day. That I ain't gonna with him today. You see what I'm saying? That shit really worse. So if you're a man at all turns, then people respect you as such. Yeah, in my experience.
Definitely.
Yeah.
What was the most trying situation? Was there ever a time where it really felt like, all right, this is life or death?
Riots.
Yeah.
Yeah, the riots are scary, you know. But again, man, I'm one of them. You know, so I ain't saying I'm the toughest, but I'm one of them to where you be like, you ready, Black? Yes, like, let's go. You know, so I could be counted on, as they say. So, trying, I'm not gonna say. You just tap into the shit you know, and all I knew was survival, and so I survived. But mentally, I didn't realize how up I was until I got home.
Really?
Yeah. What? Burnt me up. Man, half the you know somebody that did a decade or better in prison, man, they burn up. They don't even know they burn up.
Right.
Yes.
Just because it makes you so paranoid and on edge.
I tell this story all the time. I was on the goddamn toll driving, looking for where to put the coins in when I got home. I'm in a goddamn Porsche. I'm in a foreign car. I'm like, what? Man, I'm panicking on the tollway because I ain't seen where to put these motherfuckers coins in.
Yeah.
Your true story, man. You know, just all kind of shit, man.
Yeah, I mean, technology is the really f***ed up part because from when you went in to right now is like the greatest increase in technology in human history.
Okay.
You know, if you got knocked up or if you got locked up in 1900 and then you came home in 1920, the world was changing, but it's not changed that much. But the difference between 2000 and 2025 is fucking insane, you know, and that's been like the majority of my life. You know, that's been like since I got out of high school. The world has changed so much; it's almost unrecognizable. Yeah,
and it's a lot for somebody that, you know, for the people, and that's the thing, you know, when people get out of prisons, they don't have very many programs that can, you know, roll you back out into society, but you're expected to thrive. You know, hey, motherfucker, don't break the law. You know what time it is. You're going back to jail.
Right.
But they don't have a lot of things to get you hip to what's going on now.
Right, definitely. Yeah. So, okay, were you just going to war the whole time, trying to like chip away at your time? Were you working with lawyers, or were you just doing your own sort of legal research?
Oh, yeah, I fought the whole time.
Yeah.
When I say fight, I don't mean like fought people. I'm talking about my case. Is that what you're talking about? Right?
Yeah, because I mean, it probably takes a lot of courage and strength to just like never give up on that when it's got to feel hopeless at times.
Yeah, absolutely. But I did, man. I fought the whole time. I exhausted every appeal, and what happened that was in my favor, and some of the older guys told me it was going to happen. It was like, hey, they're changing these laws, you know, and so if you locked up now, the laws are changing, and they started to change. And so each time after first, you know, after my first appeal, I was in the law library trying to figure shit out. Anything come down the pike, I'm on it, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, I knew this wasn't my world. You know, I'm like, nah, all that.
Right.
I'm getting out of here.
Definitely.
And guess what though? You can catch me on the top tier with some reading glasses on, writing songs. And then when I got to the point, I started putting out albums through the phone in 2009. Right? So I'm already strategically trying to keep myself relevant musically because I wanted to come back and get what they took from me. And I knew I was just that cold to do it. And I'm the only that done went and did all that time musically and get back and make himself relevant musically. You got people that go do time and get out and bounce back, but 17 years and then come back and be able to put out the music that people still like, oh, this shit hard.
Was there anybody who kind of influenced you to do that? Because I interviewed X-Rated, and he sort of famously kept his name buzzing. And I've known a lot of people actually listen to his music from prison over the years. Out here,
he's one of the ones that did it.
Yeah.
And in fact, I want to say, if I'm not mistaken, he may have done it before me. I'm not sure.
I think probably he was locked up before you. Yeah,
he may have done it. Yeah. He may have done it before me.
Because I first heard him probably in 2010, and he had been locked up for a long ass time before that.
Man, I have 4 in the federal prisons. No, I have 4 different phones, right? 4, maybe 5 pack numbers. So I hang up one phone and then do the hook on the other phone, hang up that one, do another verse. So I pushed and pushed and pushed until I could do it. I was doing albums a cappella through the goddamn phone just to stay relevant, and come back and smash. Come back to pop my shit right now.
Definitely. Okay, so when do you finally start to realize, like, oh, okay, this is gonna work? Or, I mean, because you did 17 years, you had 30 years. At what point? What's the major breakthrough that lets you get out early?
The last thing when Trump came with the First Step Act.
Oh, really?
That took 1 year off. The first thing that happened, I got 3 years off for the first crack law, like 08. Then I think the next one came in between maybe 10 and 15 with fair sentencing act or one of those. And I got 62 months off. That was a nice chunk. And so that altogether, that was 9 years. And then Trump came. Well, I'm not even going to say Trump came, but it was already on the table, and Trump signed it in, the First Step Act. Because I thought I was getting out like 24. You know what I'm saying? But shit, they kicked me out 23. That took a year off.
Right. And like how does your mind state start changing as that date starts coming up? I've heard a lot of like crazy stories about, like, people will put pressure on you when it gets closer and closer to your release date, and they'll try to make you crash out and have to go put in work.
Yeah, I've seen that happen. Yeah. It could happen, to some people. But in my case, man, Adam, the closer I got to getting out, the more insulated people became. They started to insulate me more. Really? Man.
Do you think that the prison staff also are kind of rooting for you at that point?
Even the cops. I was just going to tell you, even the cops, they're like, the assistant warden, I can't remember his name, and Miss Kennedy and all, they was like trying to push my paperwork up the chain, like, man, he did all this time, and he been, because I wasn't in there causing them no trouble. I just did what I had to do to survive prison. So they wanted to see me win. They knew I had mentally, was at the point to where, like, hey, man, this ain't my world. Right. So and the guys, I was always a fair guy. They, they want to see me out the gate.
You seem like a guy who carries a lot of respect, and I feel like probably despite whatever hiccups you might have gone through, that probably was the vibe that you had in prison as well, right?
Yeah, that transcends when you have respect in the street. They usually will go with you unless you show yourself something other than that once you're in there, right? And so I don't try to be nothing but me,
right? Definitely. So what'd you come home to? Like what was it like transitioning back to having a normal life? You lost your mom and your girl, and like what was that like?
I came home to all the loss, right? All that. Yeah. I came home to realizing that I didn't have no help. Yeah. With my dream, which was to get my position back. Now that is what I came. Now my street niggas, shout out to them. They made sure I'm in a Porsche. I got Rolexes on. What?
I just would think a lot of the guys who were doing dirt with you back in the day would probably not be in that position anymore. But
they weren't. But the one that's doing it now, that know I'm official, right now, my shine ain't even mine. My shine is from them. Yeah, that's the reason, I just now got to the point where I could stand up. If I wanted to go buy jewelry, I could buy jewelry. If I wanted to go buy another car, I could buy another car. They put me in the Porsche. My brother put me in the Porsche. My partner from Atlanta sent me the first Rolex. My other partner gave me the other Rolex. Then Rose Gold, I can't even say the goddamn name. They the one that they get the fake ones all the time. whatever. I don't even know.
Baguette or some shit.
Yeah, I had to sell that bitch. I got broke along the time trying to get back right. I had to sell that, but he ain't give a damn. It was mine.
Yeah.
But I said that to say, but with what I wanted to do musically, what you say holds true. The people that I was dealing with, they weren't in position. And the ones that were in position, they're so business minded, everything was about the numbers. Shout out to Tony Draper. Tony Draper is one and Hollywood Baby. You know, a couple of the people that still in position that was like, hey, you nigga, you know, still with you, you know, but I can do what I can do. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that was the scariest part for me is realizing, God damn, I got to start all the way over, and I was that guy. And yeah,
rap game, short attention spans, typically, and it is also an art form that is in some way governed by the youth because they're the biggest consumer of rap music. So it's like the youth tend to always have their new thing that they're into. And so stuff that is 10, 20 years ago, oftentimes kind of fades into the background to the point where it's not. And also like people just age out of like hip hop fandom. You know, a lot of people are 50 and they don't listen to rap anymore.
And that's that's the thing.
Yeah.
See, you got guys that have gotten older, maybe not 50, 35 to 50, 35 to 55. That really came from this cloth. They really came from this era. Hip hop, that's all they know. Nobody's making music for them. They can't ride around listen to goddamn NBA Young Boy all day. You know, they just got off work driving trucks and shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
50 years old or 45 or 35 years old. They might not, you know.
Yeah.
But
he's going through his own youthful issues, and it'd be easy to imagine that a guy who's 50 is not.
Well, that's all I'm saying. He makes great music, but he doesn't. I'm not. If in my opinion, he's not making the music for some of these older gangsters, right? I am,
right.
So again, but I also the ones that come from a real cloth, real Steph Street young, stomp down street young niggas that know it's official. They're like, oh shit, you know, I like this. You know what I mean? So I have kind of created a different demographic, right? And I've tapped into like maybe yourself. Right. You know, that you like hip hop, but you want to hear somebody kill somebody in every bar. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Definitely. But at the same time, if you know me, you're like, man, I know Black done kill some motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? You be like, so you can listen to it and you could appreciate it. You know what I mean? So if I was talking a whole bunch of shit that I wasn't really, you know what I mean? If it was a bunch of fake stuff, then you'd be like, yeah, I know Black, he's a sucker for real. But I mean, the beat's nice.
Now the rap game's up because they want you to have bodies and they want you to be 17.
Yeah, see, that's the thing.
Kind of unlikely.
See, hey, that's why they put insurance policy. That's why the record label was putting insurance policies on the artists.
You know, I've never actually figured out if that was true or not. I've always kind of heard that, but
it's in my contract.
For real?
I mean, like a month. Why wouldn't it be?
Shit.
Okay, why not?
Same logic. I should take out insurance policies on everybody working for me, right?
Why not? Yeah, I mean, you should have to, right?
Really? Like just so I can get some money if they die? Like I would rather gamble on other things.
Well, I'm not gambling. See, because
life insurance policy is kind of you're just gambling.
That's a goddamn lie. You're gonna die.
Well, yeah.
Ain't no gamble to that.
Yeah.
You lose, brother.
Right.
If you sitting around here waiting to see if you gonna die, you lose. You dead.
The gamble is that you will have people around you that need that money and that they will actually get it.
Well, here's the deal. It's not for that purpose. It's for look at how many of them that die that don't have it, and then their people can't even bury them. Then you get suckers jumping on the internet talking about he couldn't even pay for his funeral, blah blah blah. Well, no, if you with me in our paperwork, if hypothetically, if that's what I'm doing, then your burial is taken care of, bro. I don't want the money off of benefit from you dying or whatever. But if I spent $100,000 on your project and you die and your family don't have anything, then I just kind of lost. But at least let's make sure that this, if you could over here Scar for Life and Twisted Black, and then you know you're taken care of. You know?
Right. I mean, it is kind of crazy to think about it. If I pay for life insurance for the next 20 years and I don't die, I just unsuccessfully gambled on my own death 20 years in a row. And then, but it's a weird form of gambling because if you hit, it comes along with the worst possible outcome, which is you dying.
Right.
And the only people who benefit from it are people who realistically, like, you know, my daughter doesn't understand a life insurance policy, but she's the one who just hit the lottery if I die, if I have life insurance.
Who are you? Okay. And I'm going to take you back to black people. Okay. Most of the black people, like my grandmother and grandmother's you know, back then, they pay insurance for ever, bro.
Yeah.
House, you could, you know, don't play around my window because if you break it, my insurance gonna go. So they just paid and paid and paid. Never one deductible or nothing, right?
Right.
Gambling. I guess you call it a gamble, but and nobody won but the insurance company.
Well, I know a guy who owns a house in Calabasas. Shout out DJ Vlad, and he didn't realize that he wasn't paying for fire insurance for many, many years. And then all of a sudden that whole area is in flames and tons of the houses around the area burned down. I mean, he essentially like made money by not having fire insurance up until the moment that he all of a sudden realized that he needed it. Yeah. And then he was desperate to get it. He probably would have paid 10 times the market rate.
But think about it though. If you got a life insurance policy, man, it's not for you, bro.
Yeah.
It's for whomever, right?
Yeah.
You know, because at the end of the day, like the way I feel like for me, if this is just my logic, I'm not telling nobody else to do it, by me being in the music game, and not only me being in the music game, me being good. In the music, when I die, because that's gonna happen. That's not a gamble. When I die, those streams or whatever, that's like my 401k, my insurance policy for my people. You see what I'm saying? Outside, so throw me in a piece, a wood casket, and burn me up and send me on. Don't spend no money on that.
I mean, you want to think about an even weirder version of it is like, I have a Snapchat account and a Facebook account and all these accounts that I don't touch. I don't manage them. I don't touch them, whatever. If I die, realistically, the guys who run those accounts are going to continue to take all this content that I created throughout my life and run those accounts still using that content. And then the percentage of that money that I get is going to go to my family or whatever. And that's just so bizarre to think that, like, you know, you still are going to have this small business operating online. And I see it all the time because when Fulio died, they went and killed him. His mom was getting paid by weed brands to do weed promotions on his Instagram like a week after he died.
Right.
And it's hard to hate on it because if the mom just made 50 bands for posting this weed ad,
then
then she just paid for the funeral and then some. And I mean,
that's
shit.
The ideology right there.
How could you hate on it?
Man, why would you hate on it?
But it is kind of weird too, because it's like, I know a lot of people have passed and their Instagram stays the same forever. And to me, that just feels right. Like that's how this should work, is like, it should just be a testament to your life and it should stop at the exact moment that you pass. But a lot of the musicians I know who died young, it's like, how else are they going to promote their new music that they're releasing that's making money for their kids and their family other than the Instagram?
Right,
you know?
Right. Yeah, I mean, you know, if it's your family going to benefit from it, then, you know, cool. But Adam, I don't know why you keep thinking you ain't going to die. You're going to die.
Oh, I know.
You keep telling me it's a gamble. You're going to die, man.
No, the gamble is just paying to bet on you not dying this year.
Oh,
well, I guess you're gambling on you dying.
Okay.
You know, like you get the best value on that bet if you die.
Right. Okay.
Which is depressing because it's the last thing that you want to happen.
And I'm still, listen, you are going to get that. You're going to get that.
Oh, yeah.
That shit's happening.
Unless you stop gambling before you actually die.
Which basically stop paying the insurance.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
I am aware that I pay a significant amount for life insurance right now, but I don't really actually know the numbers. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I am paying for it though. It's out there.
Of course you are.
I don't know. This is my accountant is like, this is probably something you should do. I'm
Absolutely.
Like, I'll listen to you.
Smart.
Okay. Okay. Who actually held you down when you got out? Because I see stuff like you doing music videos with Bun B and shit. It's like, is that just off the respect that you had for just being an icon in Texas over these years that he wanted to show love, or how's that kind of stuff work?
Actually, a little bit of both. These were my Bun and I I had a song with them and dealt with them before prison.
Got it.
Him and Pimp. And Bun is it's crazy you said his name first. One of the most solid individuals in the game.
Seems like it, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if I had to clear up and say, hey, he has helped me. He did that song with me. It's on the album Storytime. He did the video, came to Fort Worth. And if I needed a post, if you reposted, of course you try, being a stiff guy, I don't want to get heavy either.
Wait, but the Trill Burger is in Fort Worth as well?
No, it's in Houston.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, okay, I just shot a video in Houston a month ago with Killer Calion where Bun basically shut down the whole parking lot so that I could shoot, and Smackwater and all those guys came out, So Bun is, if not one of the greatest people and friends that I have as far as in the industry. We're not bosom buddies as far as we call each other and go out hanging out and hiking and shit. But man, musically, Bun, he's a real guy.
Let me just ask you this. During that era where you were coming up in the Texas rap scene, were you seeing these sort of... when we think about Texas now, when you think about the Ronnie situation, the Mo3 situation, it's like we've kind of got used to Texas being one of these states where there's rival gangs and rappers representing those gangs and they're dealing with each other and all kinds of tragedies happening. Was that the situation when you were coming up, or is that a new thing?
If as far as the gangbanging?
Yeah, well, I'm sure gangbanging always existed to some extent, but as far as it being so intertwined with the rap stars.
Yeah, that's new.
Yeah.
I mean, you had your beefs, but the biggest thing was like Pac and Biggie type shit.
I don't think I remember hearing about rapper beef from Texas until, well after, you probably went in.
Yeah, that's the
Swisher House era, we didn't know about
right,
beef.
Nah, man, because really it was like a coalition.
Yeah. That's what we would say is like, okay, California's up, New York's up, there's all this beef, but look at Texas. You got the 8 biggest rappers from Texas in a parking lot shooting a music video
together. See what I'm saying? And that's what it was. That's what I left.
Yeah.
So, and that's the reason why when I'm home, that's the reason why I'm looked at like I'm looked at as the OG, right? I can have a song with Go Yayo. Everybody name me Go Yayo, CJ Casino, PB, Solo Lucci. Man,
they don't expect you to take sides in all this.
No, not at all.
Right.
They know I won't. And they know if me and you are shooting a video, then you not only because all those little guys are gangsters. Not only are they gonna have their little guys out there, not to call them little, like they're not formidable, but they gonna have their shit out there. But then when you with me, then my cloth is coming out. And you up under my cloth when you with me, you safe. You know what I mean? So if somebody was to do, break that, then shit, you rolling on me too. Not to say that I can't get rolled on, but it's not that smart. Right.
Definitely. So how did you end up doing a posthumous song with Mo3? Do you have connections to his people, or what was the linkage there?
That was Rainwater.
Shout out Rainwater. Great man. I'm surprised he wasn't the one who connected us, because it was actually Gold Toes who told me, hey, I got this guy Twisted Black you got to talk to.
Yeah, well, see, Gold Toes connects. See, Gold Toes definitely is one of the ones that can see the value. And he gave me a shot, him and A-Money and kind of use some of his alliances, so that I could get my story across. Rainwater, on the other hand, Rain came and showed love when I first got out of prison. Came through, checked out the music, all of that, and we remained cordial. And so with the business, like I said, that My Little Nigga song blew up, and he was like, damn, this still could tell a story. Because he had told me you should be telling stories, to get back on your story time. And so I had been wanting to do of course, me being the hottest thing out of Fort Worth, and Mo3, being arguably one of the hottest out of Dallas, I always wanted to do that song. And I talked to Mo3 twice while I was in prison about doing one, but he never got around to doing it. And so when I did that song, he reached out to me about doing the song. And man, when I tell you, we went to war over that goddamn song. I did that song about 3-4 times.
Oh, really?
Hell yeah. He kept making me rewrite. I'm like, man, I'm not finna write this song there another motherfucking time.
Wow. So you guys had the kind of relationship where he could tell you to rewrite a verse.
I mean, it was business.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was business. I needed this as well as he wanted. He needed it too. So relationship wise, we don't really have a relationship. We can call each other and let's get to the business, but we don't. Him and I, we probably shared space 72 hours before we realized, like, you know what, I'll just call you when I need you. Rain, well, I don't got nothing bad to say about Rain at all. When it comes down to managing and doing what he has done for Mo3's career, man, genius.
Yeah.
And resourceful. And the line taught me some shit just in that little quick span. But, we're just, a younger guy. We're just different.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, but were you locked up paying attention to everything Mo3 had going on in the streets in terms of like all this crazy shit with Yella Beezy and it's like were you tuned in to the various soap operas that were playing out in the scene?
I was tuned in with all of it, but not as much as when I done the song. And the way that we were able to accomplish is he brought me up to speed and so everything that I say on the song, like from this nigga 5'2", couldn't dunk basketball if he tried to. I'm talking about from everything. Rain gave me that insight. He had the wherewithal to say, hey, you need to know everything. And we sat up in my studio. We got there at like 10 o'clock. We didn't leave till like 6 that evening. You see what I'm saying? And he gave me everything I needed. And I was like a journalist, like literally writing that shit down. And I went in there and just, pieced it together. That's just part of my gift that I'm able to do. I can listen to what you say, or I could take a story and do what I do. So
when you look at Go Yayo, do you see a little bit of yourself as a younger guy in him?
No.
What's the difference?
Let me tell you, Yayo is cut from, see, if a motherfucker thinking that Yayo is any two ways ducking something, then they're wrong.
He's ready to do whatever.
He is, bro. And
for better or for worse.
But if you know Yayo, he is a good, and when I say kid, I mean it with the utmost respect. He's a good kid. I'm only saying it because I'm an old motherfucker. He's a good for real. But no, we're nothing like me. Yeah. Yayo will fight your ass. He will fight you in the middle of Times Square.
Yeah, for sure.
You dig what I'm saying? Yeah. If you offend me in the middle of Times Square, then probably, but at that age, then I would probably duck you if I could.
He's done a bunch of time, but you've definitely got the perspective of somebody who really wants to make sure that they don't have to go do more time. For him,
he got time. He got time to do time.
Right. His ego is so, and it's not just that, but like he just knows that like so many people want to try him, want to try to disrespect him on music, whatever. And he knows that like if he wants to survive as a rapper, he's got to go hard. He has to make it clear he's not scared. He's not moving around in a scary way.
He's not.
Yeah.
But here's the deal, man. Yale is no fool. See, that's the thing about it. I could say that this little guy, man, he's not a fool, brother.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So if you thinking that, this finna, I'm pull up with my cameras and I'm gonna see what this talking about, he gonna give you exactly what you're looking for.
Oh yeah, I mean,
he is.
He sits in this chair, and I feel like he realized at a certain point that the best thing he can do for his career is to just be himself 100% and to just say exactly what he feels. But even me, I was taken back a couple of times when I last interviewed him when somebody mentions Sauce Walker getting shot in Memphis, and he goes, "Yeah, I wish his ass had died." Like, I'm like, whoa.
Now you gotta keep in mind.
All these years doing these interviews, I never heard somebody say that about their enemy.
But look, here's the deal. Now keep in mind. Now, Yayo, since I feel like he from Fort Worth, right?
Yeah.
And he's one of the ones. Him and PB are one of the two. Both of them that I feel like I understand. Like you kind of cut from you fabric in that cloth. You know what I mean? I get you. And so I'm rooting for him, right? But if like he do shit like that, but I say to myself, Yayo, what the is you?
Right.
But then when you talk to him, it's a method behind his madness.
Right.
And you have to just let the young man cook.
Yeah, he definitely has realized the value in just being unapologetically himself. And any like reasons why he might have, kept that shit to himself is gone. And he just realizes that, I get along with who I get along with, and I don't get along with who I don't get along with. And you know what? I'm gonna use this shit, and I'm gonna go viral by telling the world exactly how I feel. A lot of people, you interview them, and you could ask them about their biggest op in life, and they're gonna say, "Yeah, he cool, or whatever. Keep it super gangster. Yeah, like I don't know him like that. Yeah, I ain't heard nothing about him. I don't know him. You know, all the time that happens, and so it's so weird and different to be interviewing somebody who's willing to really actually tell you what he thinks
because
about.
he really actually don't give a what the whatever happened. Real talk.
Yeah,
and he's talented.
He's a wild guy. Okay, but like the little Ronnie situation, we talked about how you kind of used him and Goyeo as characters in this music video, but when you see something horrific like what happened to Ronnie take place, how does that make you feel about where our culture is going, where the society is going, et cetera?
Yeah, that one was a bitter pill.
Yeah.
Because when I got out of jail, like I said, like I don't have nobody, I'm like, damn, I'm gonna have to start this shit over. Ronnie was one of the first people to pull up on me. And I had never met him prior to that. He just watched my ascension, right? He pulled up on me, showed me how to work that camera, showed me how to pop that shit when it come on, when the camera comes on. And you can see like some of my first interviews, they weren't even interviews. First, just doing content, I was with him. And I was so goddamn uncomfortable, like cameras. I'm like, I just got out of jail. We wasn't doing all this, And so he was just really he was a good young man, you know what I mean? And you just didn't see much malice in him. And I would have, and I'm a pretty good judge of character.
Do you think in your era, in that generation, would that have happened where somebody, I mean, I guess it's possible that the shooters didn't know his daughter was in the car, but a lot of people looked at that and their reaction was kind of like, damn, I remember a time where women and children were off limits.
Well, the thing is yeah, that could have happened in any era, probably back when the Mac was out. But
yeah,
you have to ask yourself or ask someone that knows if they knew the child was in the car.
Yeah.
Now that makes all the difference in the world.
Well, I guess they're all gone now, so we're not going to get to find out anyway.
Yeah, maybe so. But if they knew the child was in the car, then that's crazy as hell. Yeah. But if they didn't, then maybe I don't too much like to speak about that because I don't want to offend nobody. All I can say is he's a great kid.
For sure.
To me.
What about the rise of Charleston White, who, it feels like a lot of people might hate watch him, where they don't like him, but they're watching the shit anyway because he's got moments of wisdom and he's outrageous and entertaining and funny. But, he's certainly a new development in the sense that he's like a hip hop personality who gleefully embraces snitching and kind of takes issue with the streets. What do you think of him and, him becoming kind of like such a huge representation of Texas to people?
I don't think he's a and I'm not going to sit here and feign like I don't see that he's all over the internet when he does some of the foolishness, but he's not a representation of Texas. I can see, and it's crazy, man, because I had to deal with that with him, but I can see bits and pieces of, because he's from Fort Worth as well. You can see bits and pieces of Fort Worth, like the high side and being quick, to playing the does, and he's slick at the mouth. He's great at what he does. What the is it you do? What really is that? And so when it comes to him, he's just one of those guilty pleasures, right? So, because I find myself I was just watching the clip of him on my way over here. Somebody had just sent me, to talk about this song with me and Yayo. Yeah, he went and got this old rapping Milk Dud,
so he's talking about you like currently.
Oh, yeah, this was just
Oh, I was assuming that this was like a while ago. Okay.
Oh, no. He used me for clout.
Still yapping about it.
Wow. No. In the beginning?
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, this just happened. This was a new clip he was talking about me.
Just randomly came up, or?
He always just randomly throw a rock. He's a weenie, just to be honest. Then I wish Wack was here.
He will be here within 20
Whenever
minutes,
he get here, because this butthole is going to say everything. He said, say what you want to say, because obviously you are Charleston. But when he sat there and said he the man in Texas, like as if the streets respect him, that is not the truth. Man, police, you living wherever it is you live, and you go where you go. Nobody's looking for him. Now, I'm speaking for myself. I'm not looking for you or nothing like that, but you ain't got no respect in the streets down there, man. You might got 1 or 2 homeboys that you feed. You know, like I say, you feed the wolves, keep getting ate. But man, ain't nobody fucking with you for real. He hates street niggas because he was never accepted by the street. Now, I got a partner named Chris Alexander that he just randomly go off on, you know, because he know Chris don't got the platform. But if Chris had the platform that he got, Chris would shut his ass up because he got so much ammunition on the wing.
Really? I mean, you think Charleston White is able to move around Texas without having to be extremely concerned about his security, or you think he's moving around very cautiously?
I'm telling you, I don't have to think at all. He's moving around very, very. Man, I've been home for 2 years. You know what I mean? And I've never once seen him. If I did, it ain't like I'm gonna pull up on him with no smoke or no shit like that. But I ain't seen him one time, and I'm outside. You dig what I'm saying? So hell no, he ain't just moving around. You see, you know, and then it's not like he ain't got, you know, touched up, you know, for saying too much sometime, you know. So tell him to go out. You tell him to go out to where everybody go out, you know.
You don't think anybody cares enough to smoke him?
It's back to what you it's back to what you said. Nobody want to go to jail, especially knowing this nigga the police. You see what I'm saying?
But also, it's not like he snitched. He's just talking about shit online.
To me, it's not like he snitched.
Well, okay, so back in the day, he did snitch,
man,
right?
He snitched. Man, the man,
but he's not like he snitched on anybody around right now.
Hold up. The man used to call the halfway house on me, man. My first day out.
Hey, really?
What?
About what specifically?
When I first get out of prison, you know, I stopped to see my children, but because of who I am, it was a parade, okay? This man called the halfway house, man. That man. Then when I was throwing my first show, he called out. When me and Yayo was shooting the video, that's the man called the police.
Wow.
Man,
that's grimy.
Yeah. Oh, he grimy as fuck. Like in real life. So,
I have laughed in the past when he like called people's probation officers and shit and like ratted them out for shit on YouTube. I know. It's fucked up. Hearing it from your perspective, I'm like, damn, that is fucked up.
Yeah, and I just did 17 years like right? So, and this bitch right here was trying, you gonna go back to prison and bun you this, you know, I'm gonna make sure of it. You know, that's the type of shit you on. So listen, hey fella, just stay out my, you know, hey, you call who you want to call, because guess what? I have a rapport with my probation officer. I walk that bitch down. I have a rapport with the Fort Worth Police Department because guess what? They're watching. Everybody knows now. But when I first got home, for him to be doing that type of shit, and they already, my rap sheet already say that's what I'm on. So yeah, it could have worked in his favor, but you know, it didn't.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So where's your head at now in terms of life in general? Like, what are you focused on, and what's important?
Man, it's beating the odds because the chips are stacked against me. You know what I mean? Like, I enjoy music, love music, but my end goal is the silver screen. And I'll tell you something else too, man. I want to have I'm taking Scar for life and dealing with different artists, like dealing with A Money and Gold Toes, and running distro through Empire. So I got those guys that came with me. They're Polynesian.
Okay.
C4 and Fat Boy, they're Polynesian. Now, who would think that the first people that I run through my distro away from Texas is going to be some Polynesians from California?
It's 2025.
But they hard as they hard. When I'm serious, when you look at them, you wouldn't think so. You'd be like, but when you hear them, you'd be like, oh shit. So I'm not trying to rap forever, brother. I'm just really, really good at it. So I'm, you know, hook my wagon to some of these good artists like C4 and Fat Boy and run it. And man, just enjoy life because I missed a lot of it. You know, try to enjoy my family, you know, kids, grandkids, shit like that.
What's your relationship with your kids like at this point? Because they must be grown, right? Oh
yeah, they grown. Yeah, love them to pieces. They love me back. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, and I have two. I almost said that. You almost got me. Just when I ain't trying to give you look down. Damn, I almost said the age. But yeah, they're grown.
Okay.
Ain't good.
You're just still trying to obscure your age.
Yeah, I am. Yeah. Like I'm like 100. So
wait, but so what's that like trying to like sort of reestablish a role in your kids' lives when you've been gone for that long and they're adults and they don't need a parent in the same way that they do when they're super young, but you want to be part of their life. Was that challenging?
It is, man. You just take what you can get. I don't have a blueprint for it. I take what I can get. You know, hey, if you call me today, it's great. If you call me tomorrow, it's better. You know, if you call me every day this week, then I'm ecstatic. So you take what you can get and you try to be there for them when they need you and or before they need you.
Right.
You dig what I'm saying? Because you can't take back the fact that you've been gone.
So 2 kids?
3.
3. All boys, 1 girl, or
2 girls, 1 boy.
Okay. And so the boy, does it feel like he's a risk of following your footsteps?
Absolutely. Man, he's so much better than me.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Well, the rapping would be the positive side of things.
Oh no, he does music and he's good.
Okay.
But I'm talking about he's a better person. He's a better man than me.
Okay.
He's never been in trouble.
You don't think he's going to be tempted to get into the streets?
No, he would have been there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's 32 years old.
Oh, 32. Jesus Christ, yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, he would have been there. And what he has a son and he's trying to make sure that he doesn't, you know, have to leave his. So,
right.
Yeah, my son way smarter than I was.
Wow, that's great. Oh, yeah. That's good to hear, man.
Yeah, thank you, man.
No, I'm glad you've been able to rebuild so much, and it's motivating to see you be able to come out on the other side of this.
Well, you know what's even better than that, Adam? Shameless plug.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Here we go. Is the movie. Okay. Yeah. We're shooting the movie right now. Shout out JT. You know, shout out Drewski Drew, who's doing the editing and all that. And it's called it's a docuseries. Hustle or Go Broke. And everything is reenacted, and then it's live shit. It's like BMF on steroids, but it's all the truth. Or it's not. You know, kind of a little bit both. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's not if you trying to get me in trouble, but it is if you know me.
For sure.
Yeah, so it's gonna be interesting.
So, you know, I've been wondering this the whole interview, and I'm just finally getting around to asking it, but you don't seem that twisted.
Right.
You seem like you got a decent head on your shoulders.
Man, thank you, bro.
Was there a time period where you were a little bit more twisted?
I'm not gonna say it depends on what you call twisted.
When I think twisted, I don't just think, you know, shot somebody, sold dope. That's not twisted. Twisted is like fucked up.
I don't think I've. Well, you know what? I don't think I've ever been that, Adam. I think I was just one of the ones that played hard. You dig what I'm saying? So I did in the streets. I played. Yeah, I played hard. And so when these guys get to talking brick talk, money talk, and stuff like that, you know, I was one of the ones. So you know, so. But twisted actually came from after I got shot and my body's twisted up and shit like that. So no, I've always been. And then to be honest with you, man, when my guys knew that I was coming on your show, I heard this from a few people. They was like, man, please don't go on his show and be humble. Yeah. I swear to God. Right. Because I'm just naturally, I'm not trying to be humble, but when life humbles you, you're not faking. So if I get up here and I'm popping my shit, I'm not Goyayo. You know, I'm not, you know, Goyayo he's unapologetically brash, right? I'm just not. That's why when you ask, does he remind me of me? No, I've always been reserved and a little bit more calculated.
I tell my girl, I'm humble about everything except how humble I am.
One more time.
I'm humble about everything except how humble I am.
Oh, right.
I think I deserve a gold medal for humility. For
humility. I got you. Yeah. You know what? It's only.
She really gets annoyed by me saying that.
But you know why? I would, if I had to guess, you say that because you know that you're humble. You know that. Yeah. Yeah. Like when you know that, like fuck that. You know, don't call, like my wife will call me arrogant in a heartbeat. She'll call me a narcissist.
My wife will call me a narcissist, and I'm like, you don't understand the people I'm around. I'm around some narcissists.
Man,
like,
and that's what I be thinking. I'm like, man, no, I'm not. I'm like, no, man, you got people around that like Trump. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, come on. But
a good rapper needs to be Trump-esque. A lot of times.
And I was just about to say, you took the words out of my mouth. The only thing that I'm not humble about is my ability to do music. if you get on the track with me, if you go and check my albums when I do features with Bun B, Scarface, whomever, I'm bringing it. Like, and I'm still doing it right now, 17 years on ice in the feds. And I'm, you know, everybody knows you make a phone call, you call live. Hey, would you do a track with Twisted Black? They're gonna say, yeah. Would you send them your verse first? Hell no.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the only thing I'm not humble about is that and probably me being a hustler. Yeah.
I respect it. All right. Twisted Black, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for sharing the story with us. Everybody tap in on all socials and tune in for the movie and new music dropping and everything like that.
Man, I appreciate it. And I want to say before I go, this is going to be one of your, what do they call it, sound bites or whatever, right?
Sure.
Clickbaits.
Sure.
If you turn out to be a federal agent, I'm going to be mad as a mouth at you, bro. Just know that. I'm serious of you, because I really like you after today.
Oh, thank you. I like you too.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this, is that when the feds did come a knocking trying to subpoena cease and desist that I had received from Big U, I sent my lawyers to talk to the feds, which ended up costing me like $5,000. I'm looking at the bill afterwards. I'm like, I let you talk to this dude and I have to pay you $5,000. I could have had this conversation with the feds myself, because it's not like they actually wanted anything from me besides an email that had already been sent that they already had access to. So there's really no reason that they even wanted it from me, because they could have very easily got it from the other end. But either way, I mean, yeah,
you did the right thing.
I spent $5,000 to not have a conversation with a fed that day.
You did the right thing, brother, because you did the right thing. So
yeah.
Hey, that way you can say that shit.
Okay.
The Twisted Black on all social media handles. TAG Twisted Black. Fuck with me. Man,
there you go.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you, dog.
Yes, indeed.
Twisted Black, No Jumper, coolest podcast. Like, comment, subscribe.
For we in the building. All the weenies.
Yeah. Everything 420 really is the plug. They've got everything you need in one place. From top tier glass to new strains and even mystery boxes with surprise gear, their app is smooth, they ship quick, and there are always discounts going on. Use code NOJUMPER at checkout.